próxima palestra será a palestra apresentada pelo Dr. Salvador Canigueral, é doutor em farmácia pela Universidade da Barcelona, professor de farmacognosia, pesquisador nas áreas de Química e Biologia de Plantas Medicinais, membro titular da Real Academia de Farmácia da Catalunha, membro fundador e presidente do Cefit e da Associação HPTLC, é presidente da Comissão da Farmacopoeia Espanhola e, desde 1998, colabora com a Farmacopoeia Europeia como membro-presidente de vários grupos de especialistas, incluindo grupos sobre extratos, drogas vegetais e preparações vegetais. Welcome, Dr. Salvador Canigueral. It's a great pleasure to have your expertise at our event, and we would like to thank you for your efforts to be with us today. Have a great presentation.
Thank you very much, Larte. Hello to everybody. I'm very glad to have the opportunity to show to you some facts about how the monographs of the European Pharmacopoeia are prepared, and especially related to those monographs that are related to multi-species herbal drugs and herbal preparation. Let me tell you what is the content of this presentation is representing my view, my opinions, and not necessarily correspond to any of the institutions I am working with, like the university or the European Pharmacopoeia. Said this, let me introduce the content. First, I speak on the European Pharmacopoeia to present what is the European Pharmacopoeia. Will herbal drugs and herbal drug preparations according to the European Pharmacopoeia to let you understand the following content of my speech. Then about the European Pharmacopoeia text on monograph on herbals. Then the number of monographs on multi-species. And then I will talk about how we solve the fact of having several species in a single monograph of an herbal drug or an herbal preparation, going through the different sections of the monograph. And very quick at the end, the elaboration of the one European Pharmacopoeia individual monograph, how this is done, and some conclusions. I am very happy that Jose Angelo, and my greetings to him for the presentation, how the European Pharmacopoeia monographs are prepared. I think in most of the pharmacopoeias we are doing the same type of work. So now everybody knows how this is done, but I would like to insist in one thing, that a pharmacopoeia is law. So every medicinal product must comply with the pharmacopoeia. And this directive of the European Union on medicinal products in general, not only herbals, that products should comply with the quality standards in relevant European Pharmacopoeia monographs or those in the pharmacopoeia of a member state. When there is not a European pharmacopoeia, then the national pharmacopoeias are applied. So it means that every medicinal product in Europe must comply with the European Pharmacopoeia. The European Pharmacopoeia is an institution that belongs to the European Directorate for the Quality of Medicine and Healthcare. This is the EDQM, and the EDQM belongs to the Council. Let me tell you that the Council of Europe is not the European Union. It's a different institution. So the Council of Europe is a larger institution with more countries than the European Union. Quarters of the EDQM are in Strasbourg. In fact, I am broadcasting now from the EDQM because I was in a meeting today, and I just left the meeting for the time for doing this speech. The European Pharmacopoeia has at this moment 40 members. These are 39 European states, and the European Union itself is also a member. part of these 39 European states are the members of the European Union. That means that the European Pharmacopoeia is mandatory in relation to medicinal products in all these member states. In addition, we have observers, and well, you can see that we have 31 plus 2. This is a special reason for that, is that after starting the Ukrainian invasion by Russia, Belarus were put aside the membership of the Council of Europe was suspended. So these are the membership also as observers is suspended at this moment. In addition, we have non-European countries, Brazil, Argentina, Mexico in the Latin American part, or United States, Canada, China, Australia. In addition, WHO and the Taiwan FDA are also observers of the European Pharmacopoeia. The European Pharmacopoeia is establishing quality standards for medicinal products and their ingredients. It's international. That means that needs to have the agreement for every text of this number of countries, member states of the European Pharmacopoeia. It is mandatory, that is legally binding, as I already said, on the same date in the 39 member states and the European Union. And it means that every decision on the monograph and text published in the European Pharmacopoeia needs the approval of all the members. So there is the right of veto. That means that when we are sending for approval to the Commission of the European Pharmacopoeia, we need to work it quite a lot and fine in order not to have any problem of veto in such countries. And they are regularly revised in order to reflect the state of the art of technicals and needs of the users. Well, now I would like to introduce these two concepts, herbal drug on one side and herbal preparation on another side. And here is the definition. And most of you know what this is, but maybe I don't know if you are telling differently, but we call herbal drugs. Herbal drugs are mainly whole, fragmented, or broken plants or part of plants in a non-processed state, usually in dried form, but sometimes fresh. In this general monograph, when we talk about plants, we refer to it in a broad sense. That means that include algae, fungi, and lichens. Certain exudates that have not been subjected to a specific treatment are also to be herbal drugs. And this term, herbal drugs, term used in the European Pharmacopoeia, in the EU, the European Union Directive for Medicinal Products, it's called herbal substance, but the definition is exactly the same. And then we have herbal preparations, as is set in the Directive of the European Union for Medicinal Products, that is called herbal drug preparations in the European Pharmacopoeia. Normally, I prefer to talk about herbal preparations because it's shorter, are homogeneous products obtained by subjecting herbal drugs to treatments such as extraction, distillation, expression, fractionation, purification, concentration, or fermentation. So this includes, for example, cut or powdered herbal drugs, extracts, essential oil, or processed exudates. An herbal preparation is a product that is ready to be integrated in a medicinal product as active ingredient. In order to understand the relation between a medicinal plant, an herbal drug, or an herbal preparation and a herbal medicinal product, here is the scheme of a production of an herbal medicinal product, a medicine. So we have the starting point is the medicinal plant. We have no monograph on medicinal plants. This is not our objective in the Pharmacopoeia. After the harvest and post-harvest processing, cleaning, drying, whatever is needed, we have the herbal drug. And the herbal drug after milling or extraction or distillation or any needed process can give the herbal preparation. The herbal preparation is what we will put inside a medicinal product as active ingredient. What we need, in addition to the herbal preparation, is the formulation, the excipients, the dosage form, all together, herbal preparation plus formulation and dosage form excipients is giving to us the herbal medicinal product. That is the product that we will give to the patient. In the European Pharmacopoeia, we have only monograph on herbal drugs and herbal preparations. We have no monograph on herbal medicinal products, at least the final product, at least for the time being. What type of text we find in the European Pharmacopoeia? The first is the general notices. Let me tell you that this is like the instructions manual to understand better the text of the European Pharmacopoeia. This should be read if you want to use the Pharmacopoeia. Then we have a series of general chapters and general texts. These are mainly general methods and information chapters. Then we have general monographs. We will show which general monograph we have in the field of herbals. And then finally, the individual monographs. So, for example, general monographs apply to individual monographs. General notices is needed for reading everything. So this graphic tries to show what is surrounding all the other topics in the Pharmacopoeia, the text in the Pharmacopoeia. In relation to herbals, we have 25 general methods specific to pharmacognosy, one text on control of the microbiological quality and one on heavy metals, 6 general monographs, 2 information chapters, one on herbal drug extracts and one on essential oils. What is an information chapter? It's something that we started to introduce. These are not mandatory chapters. All the other monographs are mandatory, but these are not mandatory. And this to let understand better the reader about the preparation of the monograph on, in these cases, the monographs on extracts and the monograph on essential oil. And then we have more than 400 individual monographs on herbal. In fact, here is 401, but should be 402. Here are examples of general method on pharmacognosy, going from foreign matter to the HPTLC of herbal drugs, or microscopic examination of herbal drugs, or contaminant pyrolysis in alkaloids. So we have a number of general methods that are applied when necessary to analysis of herbal drugs and herbal preparations. And there are it's in other sections, like those that I have mentioned before about microbiological contamination and heavy metal. I said that we on vegetable fatty oils and on essential oils. What is important is that the requirements apply to the entire class. This is that what is stated in the general monograph of herbal drugs, it's applying to all individual monographs on herbal drugs. For example, necessary control of microbiological contamination is stated in the general monograph of herbal drugs, and the control of pesticides is stated in the general monograph of herbal drugs. So this is not repeated in the individual monographs. This is already known that must be applied to any monograph. Concerning the number of individual monographs, we have here on herbals, we have the evolution here from the first edition of the European Pharmacopoeia that was started, well, the European Pharmacopoeia started in 90, it was first published in 90. So at that time we had 36 monographs, and now we have more than 400. In this, the distribution of this monograph on types of products are mainly plant parts, 62%. Then we have extracts, 12%, essential oils, 8%, and exudates, starch, gums, and mucilages 6%, fatty oils and waxes 5%. And then I have put here bee products. These are not plants, but we are they are worked also in expert groups of plants. And the homeopathic are not worked in the group of plants, but have some few monographs on that are related to plants. And just I wanted to include here as a general view of the distribution of the monograms related to plants. There are some improvements in recent years, like the general chapter on HPTLC for herbal drugs and herbal preparation. This is 2825. And I will just explain few data on that later when I go through the sections of an individual monograph. Then we have published the general method for determination of contaminant pyrolysis in alkaloids. We are moving now from spectrophotometric method to HPLC method for hydroxyanthracene glycosides containing herbal drugs and preparations. Recently, we have published the monograph on cannabis flows. This was published officially 1st January, will enter into force the 1st of July. Important thing, and this is publicly available, the guides used for elaboration of monographs. There is a general guide for elaboration of monograph. This is a general guide for all the monographs of the European Pharmacopoeia. But in addition, we have a special guide for herbals. This is a guide for herbal preparation. So this is very important because you can even download from the web page of the EDQM, and sometimes it's helpful to have them in order to understand certain things in the Pharmacopoeia. Going to the multi-species monographs. Multi-species monographs are monographs in which more than one species is accepted as the source of the herbal drug or the herbal preparation. The number of species that are involved in the case of the European Pharmacopoeia are from 2 to 4. And normally they are botanically related species that have similarities in the chemical composition, that are known to be used indistinctly as source of herbal drug or preparation, and especially species that are accepted as source of same herbal drug or preparation in authorized medicinal products in Europe. Let me tell you, and remember, this is maybe I didn't put clear earlier, that monographs in the European Pharmacopoeia are for medicinal products that are approved, that have approved marketing authorizations in Europe. So this is important because we are not working for dietary supplements, even that dietary supplements can use the European Pharmacopoeia. Concerning the number of monographs, there is for these statistics, I took all the monographs I was telling before, less the bee products and the homeopathic products. So in total, there are 376 monographs that I took for these statistics, and there are more than 300 that are single species monographs, and 43 that are with having 2 species, and 23 3 species or more. When we separate in the what are monographs on herbal drugs or on herbal preparations, you can see that, of course, we have more herbal drugs, so to 220 individual species monographs, and then 30 and 14 for 2 and more than 3 species monographs. And for herbal preparations, the numbers are there. I don't need to repeat. I think it's more interesting to go to the following, that are the percentage inside each group of the monograph that uses only one species, that are more than 80%, 80 or more than 80%, and those that use 2 species, you see 11, 12, or 11 in total, or 3 or more species that are 5, 8, or 6%. So you see that in the different groups reproduce the same situation, about around 80, around 11, around 6-7% of monograph using one species, two species, and three species or more. If we see the distribution of these multi-species preparations that are in total 66 monographs, you see that this is following more or less the same situation we saw with all the monographs. This is around 60% plant parts, 17% of extracts, 9% of exudates, starch, gums, and mucilages, 6% of essential oils, and 6% of fatty oils and waxes. Now, I would like to show you what is the index of an individual monograph, and then I will go through some of these sections in order to show how we solve or where we need to introduce some specific provisions taking in account the different species. Well, the name, the definition, the production, not always is needed to introduce production. Production is only in the case of some herbal preparations like extracts or essential oils. Characters, that is not a mandatory, it's mostly empty. Then identification, test, and assay. This are the hardcore of the monograph. Then conservation and labeling, that is only indicated when it's different from the general monograph that I have shown you before. Then, in the general guide for herbal drugs, for preparation of monograph drugs, is stated in relation to definition that when a monograph covers several plant species, the different scientific names are mentioned one after the other. When they are separated by commas, by and, or by and/or by as well as. All species are considered to be equivalent and may be used indifferentially or as a mixture. When it's separated by or, and in addition, there is no indication that mixture can be used, then only one of the species can be used, not their mixture. So you can, if there are two species, in this case, you can use either one or the other for not to mix. This really is very rare. There are a few monographs in which you can use only one of the two species mentioned. This is one of the cases, for example, is the devil's claw root, the Harpagophytes radix, in which two species are accepted, Harpagophytum procumbens and Harpagophytum zeyeri, and they are providing the same herbal drug. The definition shows that is cut and dried secondary roots of Harpagophytum procumbens and or Harpagophytum zeyeri. That means that you can use one, the other, or a mixture of both. When we go to identification, as already Jose Angelo said, we are looking at the microscopic characters, the macroscopic, then microscopic characters, and then TLC, but nowadays we are mostly using HPTLC. In relation to macroscopic and microscopic drug obtained from one or the other species is completely equal. We don't need to introduce any differentiation. And for the microscopic identification, in the case of the Harpagophytes radix, for example, since there are no relevant differences between the herbal drugs that is provided by one or the other species, a single macroscopic and a single microscopic descriptions are used because they are comprehensive of both species. So this is the easiest situation. We can go to another herbal drug that is Crataegie folium, hawthorn leaf and flower. You have the definition here, in which you can see that 4 species are accepted. This is one of the more complicated cases when you have a huge number of species: Crataegus monogyna, Crataegus laevigata, Pentagina, and Acerolus. In this case, you can see, I will not go inside deep in this, but you can see how the common characters are set, differential characters, the species is mentioned. So for stems, there is a common text. Then when we go to the leaf, there are parts that is common to all the species, but when there is some characters that are different in the different species, then the species is mentioned. And the same for the other part of the herbal drug, that is the flower. This is for the macroscopic description. But when we go for the microscopic identification, then we have the same situation. We have the common characters first, and then we see species can be distinguished by their leaf epidermis as follows. And then we go species by species, explaining how herbal drug. Let me tell you that these are not the description of the plants. We are not working with herbal drugs. So the description of the herbal drugs, even botanical characters, microscopic description of this part of the herbal drug can help to discriminate between species. And the illustration also show characteristic character for all the 4 species. I would like to introduce a new example. This is the thyme, Timierba. You have part of the definition. I will show complete definition later. At this moment, this definition helps us to know that leaves and flowers separated from previously dried stems of Thymus vulgaris and Thymus tigis. Both species are accepted, and also the mixture of both species. Thymus vulgaris is well known. Thymus tigis is an endemism from the Iberian Peninsula that is also accepted by the European Pharmacopoeia in this case. In this case, we have macroscopic and microscopic differences between Thymus vulgaris and Thymus tigis that are stated in the macroscopic and microscopic identification. I will not go inside of that, just to remember that we do that. I'd like to introduce another question, that is the presence of chemotypes. And according to the essential composition, we know a number of chemotypes, both in Thymus vulgaris and Thymus tigis. These are thymol, carbacrol, linalol, geraniol types. That means that the essential oil of Thymus vulgaris or Thymus tigis has as major constituent either thymol or carbacrol or linalol or geraniol, eucalyptus, etc. But if we go to the complete definition of the thyme, you can see here, when we are talking about content, that a minimum of 12 milliliters per kilogram of essential oil is required. And second, that the sum of the contents of thymol and carbacrol should be a minimum of 40% in the essential oil. So if we are requiring a minimum content of the sum of thymol and carbacrol, means that not all the chemotypes will be accepted. We have another monograph, not of an herbal drug, but an essential oil that is coming from thyme. This is a thyme oil thymol type. And the definition accepts thymol, Thymus vulgaris, and Thymus tigis as material for distilling and obtaining this oil. When we go to this type composition, there is the requirement of between 37 and 55% of thymol. So what I would like to show is that even we accept 2 species, differences, chemical difference inside the species, that means that not every material of this species will be accepted. For example, in the case of the herbal drug, Timierba, only the chemotypes thymol and carbacrol can be accepted because we provide an essential oil that the sum of these 2 constituents will be higher than 40%. In the case of the oil, that is clearly stated as thymol type, only the chemotype thymol from both species, but the other chemotypes of these species will not be providing the needed oil. Now we are going to HPTLC identification. We published some years ago the general chapter 2825, and this is a general text on HPTLC. The idea is that we are substituting TLC by HPTLC. So the new monograph and revising monograph, we do not introduce TLC, but HPTLC, have a better standardization of the analytical parameters with a more detailed descriptions of the methods. We have introduced a system suitability test in order to check that the analytical has been done correctly before checking the results. We have introduced the intensity markers in order to have a better description of the intensity of the zones of the chromatograms when we are providing the criteria of acceptance for, and this is let us to have descriptions of the chromatograms that are the acceptance criteria. And in addition, we have introduced chromatographic pictures, not as a mandatory text, of course, as information material that is not published inside the Pharmacopoeia, but in the knowledge database of the European Pharmacopoeia that is online. So you can see here what we are doing. We have a system. Normally, we are using two compounds that goes very close and needs to be separated. And then in the reference solutions, we have two intensities. The normal one, that is this drug, and this diluted 1 to 4. So we have two intensities that we use to compare the zones in the chromatogram when we are describing. In addition, you know the inherent variability of the biological material, the plant material. So we need to be comprehensive of what is in the market. And so we show in the knowledge database this leaflet where there are several batches of the herbal drug or the herbal preparation shown. And also we had the user to understand the description. Maybe you are not able to see that these are letters indicating the zones, and these letters are shown also in the table that allow us to see which are the criteria of acceptance for that product. If we go back to the Clataegifolium cum flore, this is one example where the HPTLC identification needed to have more than one criteria of acceptance. So let me tell you that sometimes when we have several species involved in one monograph, we can establish only one set of criteria of acceptance that is valid for all the species. This happens, but sometimes this is not possible. And in this case, we had very small difference, but was one that in this species, Monogyna, laevigata, and Atharolus, there is no zone in this part. Instead of that, when the herbal drug is coming from Crataegus pentagina, and when this is mixed with other species, there is a yellow zone faint to equivalent. This is how we express the intensities related to the intensity marker we have chosen. So here there is a zone that so you can see here that these are Monogyna, laevigata, and Atharolus, and there is no yellow zone in this part. Instead, in the pentagina and mixtures, you have this yellow zone always here. So this is setting, sometimes when it's needed, different criteria, even if the difference is not very big, of course, for the different species. When we go to the test, this is, well, we can have many tests, but this is depending on which type of product. There is an herbal drug, there is an essential oil, there is an extract. So depending on which type of product the monograph is dealing with, the test used may be different. In most of the case, the requirements for the test are exactly the same. So in this case, normally it's only one set of specifications for all the species involved in the monograph. Just as we have the eucalyptus oil, several species are accepted: Eucalyptus globulus, Polybractea, Smithy, species of eucalyptus that are rich in 1,8 cineol. And well, this oil is normally rectified to have a high amount of cineol, should be higher than 70. But we have then one single set of ranges for the chromatographic profile by gas chromatography that is introduced under the section of tests in the monograph. When we go to the essay, I'm to remember that this is the quantitative determination of some constituents of the herbal drug or the herbal preparation. This may be the constituents with known therapeutic activity, active markers, or analytical markers. This terminology is accepted, well, not yet, it's established more than accepted by EMEA, that is European Medicines Agency. And they have a definition. Let me tell you that we have constituents with non-therapeutic activity. It's clearly that the clinical efficacy is clearly related to the amount of these compounds. So we can more or less dose according to the content of these compounds. Active markers, it's when it is accepted that they are contributing to the therapeutic activity, but they are not explaining all the activity. Active markers are not very used nowadays in the monograph by the EMA. So the most of the constituents that are determined under assay are analytical markers. Even if as a teacher in phytotherapy, I know that according my understanding, they can contribute to the activity, but the Medicines Agency do not accept as contributing to the clinical effect. Well, this is a different discussion that is here not of that. For the sake chromatographic methods are preferred, and now we have a program of modernization of assay method from spectrophotometric to HPLC. And we have started the implementation of quantitative capacities of HPLC for simplifying the quality control of certain herbal drugs. But still, these capacities are not being applied to the assay. Let's see in the future. Just following the same example that was the Cratagepholicum flora, here, in most of the cases, well, in all the cases, we have a single set of specifications for, that means that we have the same criteria of acceptance for the content. In this case, for example, is the determination of bitexin to rhamnocyte derivatives, and this is the same criteria for all the species, that is minimum 0.2%. Okay. In this case, we have a single peak corresponding to this compound, because even in the herbal drug, there are several derivatives. There is, in the preparation of the sample, a transformation, alkaline hydrolysis of all the ester derivatives to this compound, so we can identify and determine a single peak. Here you can see that there are a second peak. This is used for system suitability test of the analysis, because we have an HRS. This is an herbal reference substance. In this case, it's an extract that is used, and when we are doing the chromatogram, the HPLC chromatogram, we need to see that these two peaks are separated. Well, they have a ratio peak to valley as established in the Pharmacopoeia. And I am going to the end. Now I will explain how the European Pharmacopoeia monographs are elaborated. Well, let me tell you that this is a simplification of the topic. For starting a monograph, we need a proposal. Most of the times is a national secretariat. I put here RFE. This is the Real Pharmacopoeia Española, the Spanish Pharmacopoeia, as example, depending on the Spanish medicine. There is a proposal going to the Commission. The European Pharmacopoeia Commission is the General Assembly of the Pharmacopoeia, where all is approved of introduction to the work program needs to be approved by the Commission. Any deletion of the work program needs to be approved by the Commission. Any for publication in the European Pharmacopoeia needs to be approved by the Commission. Any deletion of a monograph for the European Pharmacopoeia needs to be approved by the Commission. So it's the proposal is arriving to the Commission. Let me tell you that we need at least 2 countries proposing, that are in favor of preparing the monograph. Then the Commission sends the request to the group of experts. In our case, our groups on herbal drugs and herbal drug preparations. And the groups will work on the topic. Jose Angelo explained it so well, the big work that needs to be done, preparing methods, validating methods with interlaboratory trials, to have a lot of samples, trying for establishing the specification, the criteria of active representative of what we have in the market, etc. When we think that in the group of experts that we have a good project, we publish in Farm Europa. Farm Europa, it's free, it's electronic. You can access to Farm Europa in the website of the IDQM. This is not the European Pharmacopoeia. This is Farm Europa, a sort of electronic journal where projects of the monograph are published for public consultation. After that, the users, the group, national group of experts, through the corresponding secretariat, can send comments to the group of experts. Let me tell you that everybody from Brazil, but in this case, you can send through the help desk of the European Pharmacopoeia. In the groups, we see the comments, we discuss, we accept some of them, we reject some of them, and depending on how is modified the project, we will need a new run of public consultation. So imagine that we need to a new run because we have changed a method, or we have a specification to restrict this specification. So we need a second round of public consultation that is going in the same direction. And then again, the group of experts will look at these new comments, and when the project is considered finished, will be presented to the Commission, and the Commission normally will approve it and will be published in the Pharmacopoeia. When it's published in the Pharmacopoeia, then we will be you will enter into force 6 months later after publication. So there is the time that industry can react and update their methods, laboratory work to the new method when needed. Who is doing the work? Here you have the groups of experts working on that, 2 groups, drugs and herbal drug preparation, 13A and 13B, one on fatty oils and derivatives, 13H. These are permanent groups. Then for certain topics, we have ad hoc working parties that meet only when there is something to discuss. There is one of extracts. This working party on extract is not preparing the individual monographs on extract. The individual monographs are prepared in 13A, and this is only dealing with the general monograph on extract. One on microbiological quantity. There is one on pyrolysin alkaloids that prepare the general method. One on pesticides that is revising time to time the requirements on pesticides. There is one on traditional Chinese medicine, dealing with a monograph on herbals of traditional Chinese medicine. Even this is a temporary a dog working party, in fact, is active since many years, and it's, how to say, like a permanent group nowadays. And there is one on water for preparation of extract that this is now it's what we call dormant, because there is no need discussions on this topic. At this time is no need of discussion on extra. So these two groups are now dormant and they do not need to meet. Until here, my talk, few conclusions. Of course, I could many other conclusions probably. There is 70% of the monograph of herbal drugs and preparation of the European Pharmacopoeia that involves 2 or more species. When necessary, macroscopic and microscopic identification indicates differential characters. Where appropriate, different HPTLC profiles are given for different species. Normally, a single assay procedure and a single set of criteria of acceptance for the content is used for the herbal drug preparation independently of the number of species. And what is more important, that is how to say, the K, that you can imagine that this was the answer. Decision on if one or more monograph is to be elaborated when one or more species are relevant needs a case-by-case analysis. And normally, this will depend mainly on the chemical composition, if it's related, the botanical proximity may be, and especially if you can set a single analytical procedure and criteria of acceptance for the assay of the constituents. With this, I close my talk, and I thank you very much for your attention.